I grew up in the mountains of Appalachia, and where I come from, we don't talk about these things lightly, because the people who taught them to us were our grandmothers, grandfathers, some of the old timers deep in the hollers. They wasn't just superstitious, they were witnesses. There's a huge misconception out there that people from Appalachia are just backwards, superstitious, and we believe in any and everything. I'm not going to lie and say that there aren't superstitious people here. It's more than that. It goes deeper than that. You don't hear and see as much of superstitious things as you did, say, 80 to 100 years ago. These things were passed down, some of them well documented, and I'm going to share some of them with you today. Folks from eastern Kentucky and throughout Appalachia believe were death omens. The Banshee of Appalachia, or the Wailing Woman. It's believed that if you heard a woman outside your house at night through an open window or open door, just letting out this guttural scream or cry in agony almost, that it was an omen, that you or someone close to you would soon be dead. Death birds, a very popular one that I had heard personally all my life. Some people believe it's pretty specific. The whippoorwill is one of the birds that is said, if it is outside your house, up in a tree, calling out, especially at night, that it is foreshadowing a death. I will throw in a little something extra. Some people believe that if a bird, any bird, a whippoorwill, anything, gets inside your house, that it is in fact an omen that someone will soon be passing away. The third one I think is really interesting. You guys probably hear me talk about it. That's called the death knock. Or in today's paranormal world, it's just known as a mockery of the Holy Trinity. Essentially, it's when you hear 3 knocks somewhere in your house. It could be on the floor, on the wall, on the ceiling, but 3 knocks will indicate that someone could pass away. Many years ago, it was believed if people heard those 3 knocks that something bad was going to happen. But as time has went by, people associate this with demonic encounters, which I think, honestly, a lot of the things I'm talking about today stem from something demonic. 3 knocks, that is demons that mock the Holy Trinity. And usually it happens around 3 a.m. That's when it's most prevalent. It can happen at any time. But many, many years ago, people saw this as a sign that someone was going to pass away. This one is really interesting, and I don't think it can be explained by science. I personally know people who, many years ago, old timers, I heard these people talking when I was young, that when a clock stops at the moment of someone's death, I've really heard people say they have experienced this. They encountered that when someone passed away, doesn't matter what time it was. It could be 3 p.m., it could be 3 a.m. But the moment that person passes, that a clock in that house or building, or it could be your watch on your wrist or a pocket watch, it would stop at that time. And others would go on to say that people who found out about the death, that could be miles and miles, hundreds of miles away, the moment they heard of it, their clock stopped also. Some of these you might can explain as a coincidence, even though I don't really believe in coincidences. Some of it might can be explained through science. That's one that I don't think science can explain. Now this one is pretty interesting too, because it's actually known throughout the world. But at one time in Appalachia, it was pretty prevalent as an omen of someone dying, and that is the black dog effect. For hundreds of years, pretty much everywhere, people have reported seeing a black dog. Sometimes I've heard stories of it being like a Rottweiler or a Doberman. I've heard it being a Labrador or even a small dog. A mysterious, strange dog will appear most often to the person that is something bad's going to happen to, whether it be they pass away or just some kind of bad omen. But they're the only ones who can see this dog. I personally have not ever seen this black dog, but I do have friends who have. So they have seen a black dog while driving at night. It will appear in front of the vehicle, and just like that, it's gone. Nothing bad happened, and I don't believe it's always a omen that something's bad going to happen, but this isn't just an Appalachia thing, it's throughout the world. The black dog effect, it's real. You may have heard me talk about this one in some of my other videos, but that is mirrors, or the covering of mirrors the moment that someone passes. And I don't think that this one, or for that matter, any or many of these are practiced today. But many, many years ago, when someone would pass away, especially if it was like in their home or their house, people would take a blanket or some kind of sheet and cover the mirrors. There's a few different reasons people believe this was necessary. One, that the spirits would possibly see themselves and get confused. They wouldn't know if they were dead. They didn't know where to go. It would cause them to have trouble getting into the afterlife. There's a belief that mirrors can be portals, and I'm not saying I believe or don't believe it, especially if you have two mirrors facing each other. So one theory is that there is darker entities out there waiting, and the moment someone passes, they use the mirrors to come through, almost like to replace the spirit of the person who passed away. This is another one that wasn't just prevalent in Appalachia, the raven or crow appearance. It's believed that if a crow or a raven lands outside your house, in a tree, on your porch, somewhere around, that it's an omen. Now, crows and ravens, they land in people's yards all the time. That's nothing new. But it's a little more specific than that. If these things hang around, specifically just one of them, you can't scare it off. It won't fly away. It just kind of hangs by. You can even go to the scripture for ravens or crows in a biblical sense, because a raven was sent out after Noah's flood. It's documented there, and there are other scriptures throughout the Bible that references ravens. If you have one hanging out near your house that doesn't seem to want to go, don't want to fly away, many people believe that's a pretty bad omen. The next one kind of surprised me when I was doing research, because some of these I have heard, a few of them I haven't, but that is if you have a dream where your teeth fall out. And I've had that dream a few times in my life, and nothing bad has happened, but it was once believed that if you had the dream, your teeth were falling out, that it was a sign that something bad was coming. Death, a sickness, something bad was going to happen. Now, this is one that I've heard a lot about, and that is the smell of death. And it's a few different ways, not just one specific smell. One is the smell of roses or fresh cut flowers, because most funerals, you think of a funeral, people send flowers, so there's just that smell that's kind of in the air during a funeral. People have reported smelling roses or fresh cut flowers days or moments before death, and they believe that it was a sign saying that someone was going to pass. Another smell is the smell of death itself, and you may not have ever experienced that. And some people say it's not necessarily a grotesque, horrible smell, but just it's hard to explain if you've never smelled it. But other people will say it's the actual smell of death, rotting flesh, and I hope you've never smelled that. In my job, I have smelled that several times. It's a very distinct smell. Once you smell it, you never forget it. And I have also worked and grew up in a funeral home, so I know that smell very well. But I sometimes wonder if people are confusing the smell, that rotting smell, with sulfur, because it's also believed that the smell of sulfur is a sign of a demonic presence. And those are just a few of the old-timers' beliefs, the superstitions. Most of these things people don't really think of or practice anymore, but back years and years ago, it was real. I know personally people who have experienced some of these things, and you may chalk it up to a coincidence. That's possible. But some people think there's something more spiritual, something more demonic that we just don't know or understand. I'm curious, what death omens or anything like that, any kind of bad omen, have you heard of? What was prevalent in the neighborhood or area in which you lived? It doesn't have to be Appalachia, because this happens throughout the world. People, different cultures, different places have these things. So what did you hear growing up, or maybe even still yet today? Thank you guys so much for watching. Please smash that like button, turn on all notifications, and subscribe. That's the best way you can support me in this channel. You can also follow me over on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook as The Supernatural Sleuth. If you have any kind of story, picture, or video you'd like to share, you can send me an email at thesupernaturalsleuth@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much. I pray you have a blessed day. I'll see you soon.